Hello again, everybody, and welcome to 4-Star Chicago Sports. This is the Northside Nine, and what a wild ride we had at Wrigley. We're going to break it down because yesterday was quite exciting and quite heartbreaking at the same time. Plus, we'll get into a little bit of Matt Shaw. We're going to get into PCA. Is he our cornerstone? And, of course, we're going to take a trip down to the farm. We'll take a look at next week because we got a tough 7-game homestand left right after this. Hello again, everybody, and welcome into the 4-Star Chicago Sports Podcast. This is the Northside Nine, and holy cow, we got a fired up Kyle today because he hates this bullpen. But can we turn this bullpen around? We're going to talk about it. But first, we're going to talk about yesterday because yesterday was an amazingly wild ride full of bumps and bites and bruises and ups and downs. Kyle, give me your impression first off of what you thought, because we're going to revisit this in just 30 seconds or so.
I mean, Sean, it would have been a hell of a game to go to for sure. I mean, that was one of the most historic games probably ever played at Wrigley Field. I know somebody who was at the bar yesterday who said they left in the 7th inning. I'm like, ooh, that's rough. You missed some of the greatest baseball in recent history. I mean, back-to-back grand slams. What was there, 4 home runs in the last 2 innings? I mean, the Cubs had a 6-run lead in the 7th inning with 6 outs to go, and they ended up adding 10 runs on top of that. I mean, obviously the wind was blowing out yesterday, Sean.
The wind was blowing out. There it is on the screen. 6 home runs, 2 grand slams, all 4 types of hit, base hit, double, triple, home run, all 4 types of home runs, solo, 2-run, 3-run grand slam, 3 halves of an inning, 5+ runs. Never in Major League Baseball has that happened, let alone in an entire game, let alone in 2 innings. And for those of you that missed it, let's take a quick sneak peek at what exactly happened.
2-1, but the bases are loaded and 1 out. Drilled, right field, going back is Carroll near the wall. Grand slam! Ian Happ turns around the 4-seamer and unloads him. And just like that, the Cubs have a 6-1 lead.
Right down the middle of the plate, Ian Happ jumped all over it. And Ian obviously up to the challenge.
His 5th career grand slam. Enjoying a 6-1 lead. Tucker, fly ball out towards right center. That one back some more, and McCarthy can't get it. Tucker to second, around second. He's on his way to third. And he's got a triple. Nelson a 1-2. Hard hit through the left side base hit. Michael Busch, his 2nd knock of the day. He's 2 for 4. It's an RBI.
So here is Gino. And if there was ever a time to bust out of a 5 for 52, this is it. Gino gets it up in the air. Where it goes, we know it's Gino, and it's gone for a grand slam. 7th of his career and his 2nd this season. And just like that, it's a ball game again. They don't want it. He had the grand slam at Yankee Stadium, 5 for 52 cents, and he's got another grand slam here at Wrigley.
Wow, that ball was toasted.
Way out of here. Now the 2-2. Perdomo off the glove. Swanson has it in the outfield. He's got no play. McCarthy's home, and Alex stops at third. It's a 1-run game. Swanson may have saved their lead by getting a glove on it. He could not get it out, but had that. Grichuk chops it to third. It's under the glove of Workman. Alec is home. Perdomo heads for third. They're going to wave him home. Here's the long throw, and he is safe. And the Diamondbacks have come all the way back. It's 8-7. It's another miracle 8th inning for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And Grichuk is standing at third base. A late defensive change by Craig Counsell. Gage Workman at third. It went. Gurriel drives it to left center. Lourdes It's gone! That's a 3-run homer, the same inning as the Suarez slam, and the Diamond.
All right, before we move on, Kyle, at this point, we were kind of on the phone. So where was your heart and soul at this very moment?
I'm disappointed in this team, disappointed in management, and disappointed in this bullpen. That's where my heart was at this moment. I mean, Sean, the Chicago Cubs had a day off before this game yesterday, and they had the entire bullpen available to them. Anybody they wanted to bring in to stop this run from the Diamondbacks in that inning, anybody they wanted to bring in, they could have brought in, and they couldn't stop them. The Diamondbacks, about every single pitcher they had that they thought could stop this run, and the Diamondbacks kept hitting and scoring runs. The Diamondbacks played the day before, so they had a limited bullpen. So the guys they were bringing in were the worst of their bullpen. That's not a good look for the Cubs bullpen. That game yesterday was not a good look. Now, Sean, listen, this is why you watch baseball, right? Exhilarating, exciting, amazing. I mean, like I said, that woman who left the game in the 7th inning, that was a major mistake, because this is one of the most historic, great games in Wrigleyville history, especially if you're a Cubs fan and they won. But not a good day for the bullpen, Sean.
So here I was. I had just walked into the store, and I was watching the game in my car and my phone, and I walked in. As soon as they gave up that home run, I was like, all right, I'm going into the store. This ball game's over, because I thought they were going to keep scoring. So literally I got out of the store, and I saw this happen.
High fly ball out towards left center field. That one back on its way, and it's gone.
Here we go.
Wow. Carson Kelly have a day. A towering homer to left, the 3-run jack. He goes deep for the second time, and they're within 1.
So at this point, I came out of the store, and now I pulled over. I had just pulled out of my spot, and I'm like, all right, now I got to sit here and hold on a second and see what happens. I'm still thinking that the Cubs were going to lose this game. I'm thinking back to the game last year. I think it was against the Padres, where they blew an 8-run lead, and there was just no fight left in them, and they were just done. This was completely different attitude. And as I'm sitting there, they got the runner on, and then I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, King Tuck is up. Well, what did he do? He ambushes the first pitch.
Here's Tucker. Swing and a drive. Right field. Way back. We are on top. Kyle Tucker. .12-11.
And then we all know Suzuki hit the home run, made 13-11. Presley came in again and had another lockdown performance in the closer's role, which for me personally, this is 3 solid performances out of the bullpen in a row. And now we kind of have to play musical chairs with this bullpen. And Kyle, I want to state this and see how you feel, because I know Kyle's seething over there, and say, for Cubs fans, does a dose of reality set in? Skip past your denial, your anger, your bargaining on bottom tier relievers, and do you let depression set in and skip to acceptance and say, Kyle, is this your 2025 Chicago Cubs?
Yeah, I mean, Sean, this is who they are. We've been talking, Sean, how long have we been talking about this bullpen? What, 4 years now? 4 years we've been talking about the Chicago Cubs bullpen, and you see that the teams like the Dodgers go get the 3 best relievers available in free agency. Well, the Cubs are adding guys like Thielbar, and who's the other one that, I mean, I'll say that, Sean, Eli Morgan was a good addition. If you look at the way he pitched last year, that was a good offseason addition for the Cubs. He's just run into some bad luck. And, everybody does it. It's going to happen to everybody in baseball. And I still believe in Porter Hodge, although he gave up that grand slam yesterday. I still think he's going to be a crucial piece of this bullpen. And like you said, Presley's playing very well. The problem is, if you say that, and you got Julian Merriweather there too. So the problem is, if you use the 3 or 4 of those guys in a day, you are basically giving up the next day, unless you can outscore the team by 8-2 going into the 7th inning, then you're in good shape. But
Well, you think.
It didn't happen yesterday. I mean, they were up 6 runs with 6 outs to go with the best of their bullpen, and they still made it interesting. It's still a bunch of drama. I'm not, Sean. Listen, I'm a huge Cubs fan. You know that. I love the fact the Cubs are in first place. I love the fact that this team is scoring runs at a historic rate. They have the best run differential in baseball of any team in baseball. They're first place in the NL Central. There's not much to complain about. But if you are a true Cubs fan and you love baseball and you dig into the nitty gritty and in the details, this is a problem. And it's eventually, Sean, this rotation, the starting rotation and this bullpen are going to bite him in the butt. Now, listen, is it the Cubs' fault that Justin Steele got hurt? No, absolutely not in any way, shape, or form. But good organizations plan for things like that. And this is the same injury Justin Steele's been dealing with for the last 3 years now. So, I mean, it's not like it was off the table that this guy could ever get hurt. This is where the Cubs, this is where the Dodgers separate themselves from teams like the Cubs.
Sure.
The Dodgers are a championship caliber team because they're deep and they know they plan for injuries. The Cubs do not. They bargain shop in the offseason, and now it's biting them in the butt. And now, Sean, if the Cubs are winning by 1 run today going into the 8th inning, who are you bringing in?
That's a really good question, and that's kind of what I wanted to get into, because in just a second, or well, no, we could get into it right now, because I want to talk about this lineup. As Bruce just stated, this lineup is so fun to watch, and we were talking backstage, and you believe that the Cubs could be, with a couple of the right moves, be for no less than anything, an NLCS contender competing with the Dodgers to win the NLCS and go to the World Series. I still, in my mind, and maybe I don't want to give up after 22 baseball games, think that there are some things that can be done. Keegan Thompson, who has major league experience, can still be brought up. They did make an acquisition last year of Tyson Miller, and although Tyson Miller was fantastic coming over to the Cubs, Julian Merriweather certainly seems to be gaining steam back to where he was. Brad Keller, who
Sean, he's
has
their
a
best.
lifetime, no, he has a lifetime average of 5, but that was as a starter. It seems as though right now Keller is thriving in that relief role.
I like Keller.
Yeah, and Presley seems to be turning around. Now, every reliever, every closer is going to have a blown save, so I don't want to hear, oh, he blew this game after he just made 7 straight saves. It's going to happen, guys. In Major League Baseball, closers blow games. Every closer has at least 3 blown slaves every single year. Go look it up. I'm not making it up. It's going to happen. Right now, he has 0.
Yes,
he has 0, even though it hasn't looked pretty.
And relievers blow holds. That happens. This is baseball. Nobody's perfect. None of these guys. You could have, I mean, Mariano Rivera blew safe, Sean. Every great closer in the history of baseball has blown saves. The problem with the Cubs is you have guys like Nate Pearson and Caleb Thielbar and these, like I said, a struggling Eli Morgan. And it sounds like Eli Morgan is hurt. So I think that's probably, it's not like the Cubs signed a guy who just wasn't good and we should have expected this. Eli Morgan was a very good pitcher. He just had a bad start to the season, but that's what I'm talking about. Like you talk about those ERAs from guys like Thielbar. You don't have relievers like that. If they were on the Dodgers, Sean, they'd be sent down. They'd be cut. Somebody else in. This is what the Cubs have, and they're going to ride these guys out for the rest of the season.
If I may, I don't think relievers like that would be on the Dodgers.
No, never. Would they ever sign a guy like Caleb Thielbar? That's the disappointment. It's not the fact. I love the Cubs. I love watching this team, and like Bruce said, this lineup is absolutely. This is the best lineup I've had to watch in a very, very long time as a Chicago Cubs fan. And it's just a lot of the same of the old. I mean, we've been talking about this bullpen. And Sean, it's just like when we were talking as Bears fans about the offensive line. It's the same thing for the Cubs and their bullpen. We've been talking about this for far too long. This organization makes way too much money, and has way too loyal of a fan base to be putting this product out in the field year in, year out. I mean, go get yourself quality relievers and a quality closer. I don't understand. And like I said, Sean, I like Presley, but how many closers in baseball would you take over Presley right now? What, 10, 12?
A few. I mean, I got to look at what he's doing, and his earned run average is dipped in his last 4 outings. He hasn't allowed a hit in his last 4 outings. He's actually in his last 3 went 9 up, 9 down. So he's turning it. He's turning the corner for what the Cubs traded. Will it hold out for the next 5 months? We're going to have to wait and see. I still do, as you stated a little bit ago, I still do believe in Porter Hodge. And as I say that, I just want to let everyone to know, on the surface, his numbers do look brutal, but digging into his peripherals definitely tell a different story. He has a 320 FIP. It shows that he's doing a lot of things right. He's missing bats. He's limiting walks and home runs. I know he let up a grand slam yesterday. That's going to happen every once in a while. It happens to everyone. He's just, to me, ran into some serious bad luck. He does have a 440 BABIP, which is a little wild, but he also has a 57% left on base percentage. So that suggests he's stranding runners. You know, his stuff looks normal. His command just didn't look dialed in yesterday. He has fixable issues, but this is also a young kid.
Yeah,
maybe
Sean,
he's maybe pressing a little bit, overthrowing yesterday. You know,
they need to give Porter Hodge more time. I mean, he's this. Yes. If they Cubs did something like send Porter Hodge down, I'd be furious, absolutely furious. This is a guy who, it's clear that this guy has major league stuff. It's not even a question. Porter Hodge could be a very dominant pitcher in this league, as long as they continue to groom him and develop him. He's eventually Porter Hodge. I believe that Porter Hodge is going to get to the point where he could be a really good closer in baseball for the next 5 or 6 years. He's not what I'm worried about. I'm not even worried about Presley all that much, Sean. I think Presley, at the end of the day, for me personally, we've talked about this before, Sean. I think he's probably better as your setup guy, 7th, 8th inning guy, and Porter Hodge probably your closer once Porter Hodge starts to get more consistent. Yeah, but and I love Julian Merriweather. We've talked about that 100 times, Sean. He's probably my favorite relief pitcher on the Cubs. I mean, Julian Merriweather could very well be your closer if you wanted him to, but he's just better as a setup guy because I believe he can get 4 or 5 outs if you need him to. The problem with the Cubs is the rest of them. And, you know, there's guys like the Nate Pearsons and Thielbars scare the hell out of me, Sean. You can't go and do a playoff series against the Dodgers or even the Diamondbacks with this as your bullpen. The Cubs are going to have to bring somebody up or add somebody at some point if they actually believe they could compete for a championship. They have to do something, and there's no quick fix it. It's going to have to be a trade, or something has to happen here because you can't go into the playoffs with this as your bullpen. You're not going to win. You're not going to win a World Series.
We talked a little bit yesterday about Brad Keller, and I was like, I'm not going to be on this Brad Keller bandwagon because he's had really one good major league season, maybe 1.5 if you look inside of his numbers. But he's a failed closer, seems to be thriving so far in the first 22 games out of the bullpen. So, and that's kind of where I'm saying, like, we're winning games, although sometimes winning ugly doesn't make people happy, like Mr. Angel in the audience here who wants to fire Dansby Swanson as well. The 7th, 8th, and 9th, as Scott's saying here, it is solid, but there's a lot of questions beyond that, and there's a lot of questions when you back that up. Now, I stated 2 weeks ago, I think Ethan Roberts is going to be a big part. I know he gave up a home run yesterday, but honestly, for me, I can just hit delete and forget about the 8th and 9th inning because to me, that was more of an anomaly. You're not going to see, dude, in those 2 innings, 39 batters came to the plate. There was 21 runs scored. You're not going to see that in normal baseball games. I'm going to delete that and say this is more of an aberration than it was something that we're just going to keep seeing over and over. I do believe the bullpen can settle down. I still do think, unfortunately, I do agree with you that I wish they would have done a better job coming into the season, having this bullpen set up for success instead of going into the season having to figure it out. But I do see pieces here that can come together and make this a solid bullpen. At least I have so far, and you touched on a few of them.
Yeah, and I agree. The problem with me is, Sean, is I've been, I've been a Cubs fan my entire life.
Yeah.
Couldn't be happier about the 2016 World Series, but I expect more because this is the 4th most valuable franchise in all of baseball. Can this bullpen come together and be a good bullpen? Yes. Is it a championship caliber bullpen? No. Are the Cubs capable of building a championship caliber bullpen with the resources they have? Yes, absolutely. They just don't want to do that, Sean. Do they have the money to spend on this team? Yes. Are they going to? Probably not. And I read an article this morning, Sean. It's a different conversation. We can get into this later, but I read an article this morning that basically said that all that news we heard about the Kyle Tucker extension, some of it they're saying is probably not true. As a matter of fact, his agent came out and had a conversation, did an interview with somebody, and he said Kyle is sticking to his guns. He wants to test free agency. And do you blame him? I mean, after the start to this year, do you blame him? This guy might get $600 million.
We'll see, and we'll see what's true, what's not. He seems to be enjoying Wrigley. That Instagram post he put up the other day kind of tells a
Sean,
different
that's
story.
what you have to hang your hat. You have to hope that he just falls in love with Wrigley Field.
Here,
That's the only
I'll
hope.
tell you this, Kyle. I'll tell you this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. Kyle Tucker so far, 318, 6 home runs, 21 RBIs, 4 stolen bases. This guy's the best ball player we've seen on the north side of Chicago in a long, long freaking time. And if Tom Ricketts doesn't open the wallet for this kind of player, I will join you guys and say it's never going to happen, because there's 0.00% chance that this guy should ever leave this organization, and they should be working on this extension. They should have worked on it already. It should have been done. I believe I will say this. I think it's a negotiating tactic to say, this guy's going to have to stay here, or he wants to leave, whatever. It drives the price up. Fine, he wants to leave. Is he going to leave if I offer him $550 million? No, he's going to sign on the dotted line, stay on the north side of Chicago. So there's always truth. It's a game. We're going through it with the NFL right now, with the NFL draft. Everyone's lying, and it's a lying game.
I'd be a lot more comfortable.
Who's his agent? Is it Boris?
I don't know. Okay.
Okay.
Sean, I'd be a lot more comfortable if they said they call it their camp. So but usually that means the agent. Usually when they say Kyle Tucker's camp, that usually means his agent. I mean, obviously he's got lawyers, and I'm sure his dad or he's got a couple people involved in business decisions. But if I asked you right now, outside of Ohtani and probably maybe Ronald Acuna, who's the best player in baseball? It's Kyle Tucker. It's Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, Bobby Witt
His
Jr.
Numbers
Bobby Witt Jr. is in
all right.
conversation.
So maybe Bobby Witt could be like it may be your 1A and 1B outside of Ohtani.
Aaron Judge.
I'd take Kyle Tucker over Aaron Judge.
Oof.
I'd take Kyle Tucker over
Ooh, I don't know.
I mean, it's not just the timely hitting. I mean, how many triples does Aaron Judge have?
He doesn't have to hit triples because everything leaves the yard.
Or he's too slow to get to third base. I mean, Kyle Tucker turning that into a triple yesterday, man. I mean, the base running, the baseball IQ, the play in the outfield, everything about him, Sean. The clutch hitting with runners in scoring position, hitting a home run when you're down by 1 run. I mean, this guy does everything.
I'm going to say this. Aaron Judge was a normal baseball player in the playoffs last year. And that's another thing that I look at.
That's another thing. Another thing. Aaron Judge did not play well in high pressure situations. Yeah. Kyle Tucker seems like he likes it. I think he likes it.
I mean, he ambushed that pitch last night.
I think he was itching to get up. I think he's like, please let me get to the plate. Give me a chance, and I'll take this lead back. That seems to be the type of guy he is, man.
And here, Scott, I'm going to tell you this right now, brother. I know we argued about this on Tuesday, and I'm going to hold out hope, and I mean this wholeheartedly, that the Cubs are going to get this done with Kyle Tucker, because my fan card is going to be in serious question if we gave up Cam Smith and this guy is not given a reasonable offer, and I'm talking 450 to 550 million to at least be in the ballpark of what he's going to get on the open market. So I'll just say this. He fits really well, and I wanted to take a look at this. When you look at what the Cubs lineup is doing right now, I mean, Carson Kelly's obviously leading the way here.
I think he's leading all of baseball.
He is leading all of baseball. He's also tied in Major League in the National League with home runs with 6, but 419, I believe, and I believe his OPS is about 400 points higher than the next person closest to him. Suzuki seems to be doing well. Pete Crow Armstrong, and we're going to touch on Pete Crow here in just a minute.
Sean.
I wanted to give a little love to this guy too. Really quick, Kyle. Michael Busch, that was his season last year. This is what he's doing so far this year. He's also batting, I believe it's 290 batting average. This guy continues to be one of the finer gentlemen that have come over in the Jed Hoyer regime.
Sean, you talk about a massive mistake. This guy, first of all, when he's on the West Coast, He is the best hitter in baseball, and he was traded to us by the Dodgers. And the Dodgers continue to tell everybody in the world that Max Muncy is going to be the superstar at some point. Like, guys, he's been in baseball for like 8 years. Like, they should have. Michael Busch should be standing at third base for the Los Angeles Dodgers, because
Absolutely.
if he hits like he does every day on the West Coast, if he played there, if that was his home, he would be one of the best players in baseball. I love Michael Busch. Sean, what they're doing with the lineup is great. I think the Cubs have made every right move when it comes to their offense. Every single right move they possibly could have made. They've built this offense into something special. Like Bruce said, watching this offense day in and day out is what keeps Cubs fans coming back. I mean, this is absolutely one of the funnest rides I've ever been on as a Cubs fan. The problem is, this is why it's so frustrating, Sean, and tell me if you disagree, but you've built a offensive lineup that I think is capable of winning World Series. Why wouldn't you add this? Why wouldn't you give the same amount of attention to the pitching? I don't understand. Like, guys, you're so close. Like, I'd almost rather be a bad team than be 3 players away from World Series, knowing your team has the resources to go get those 3 players, and they just choose not to.
Now, let me ask you this. You remember in 2016, the biggest weakness on the club was a closer. Now, Theo Epstein obviously in charge in 16. I mean, Hoyer and these guys looking at this and seeing what they need. Do you think they're not looking at the Twins right now, or the Marlins, or I think Seattle's off to a bad start. Some of these, because I'll tell you this, I'm looking at Pablo Lopez in Minnesota saying, hey, I got a way we can fix this rotation and get someone a little bit better, and then get Colin Ray out of the rotation and put Colin Ray into that 5th, 6th spot.
Yeah, and then you get a side back, and you could put him in the bullpen. Listen, Sean, there's many ways they could do this. There's plenty of ways that the Cubs could make this one of the best rotations and the best bullpens in baseball. They have the resources to do it. They're the Chicago Cubs, and they have one of the best farm systems in baseball. Here's what the question, Sean. For a team that you probably assume outside of Kyle Tucker, maybe a Kyle Tucker extension, which is still on the table, is not going to go out next year and spend a bunch of money. I mean, this is just who the Cubs are. We've seen this the last 3 years in a row, right? They're not going to go sign the 3 best relievers in baseball. You know that, right? So if you want to go get a pitcher this year to replace Justin Steele, how much of that farm system are you willing to give away? Because if you know you're not going to spend a bunch of money in the offseason to bring better players here, you're going to have to rely on that farm system going into the future pretty heavily, right? You expect all those guys to come up here and be the future of your baseball team. Like all these the arms we've been talking about, like the Jackson Wiggins and Nazir Mule, all these guys that we've been talking about for the last 2 years, these pitchers who we expect to come up here and have major impact for this major league roster. If you want to go get one of these guys like Dylan Cease, you're going to have to give up some of these arms. And then where have you put yourself? Now, so what you're talking about now, a 2-year window to win the World Series, 2 or 3 year window to win the World Series?
I think you can accomplish both personally, because when you look at the Cubs farm system, it's so deep right now with talent and prospects that people want. I think you can give up a couple and get a couple of pitchers and still be okay, because you're not giving up Alcantara, Moses Ballesteros, Owen Casey. You're not giving up all these guys in a package. But if you're giving up one for a front-end starter that's going under contract, like, say, a Pablo Lopez, who would be under contract till 2027, I don't find that as a bad idea, because you're not going to fit all those pieces out onto your outfields.
I know, but here's the problem. You now have Kyle Tucker on an expiring contract, Ian Happ on an expiring contract, Nico Horner on an expiring contract. Say Suzuki's got 1 year left after this? 2 years?
Shoot, what year are we in? 25? I think he's to 27.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Don't quote me on that. I just think so.
So the Cubs need to ask themselves, how big is this window?
Here's the deal, Kyle. But let me ask you this. If we re-sign Kyle Tucker and you have PCA, now you have an outfield in the minor leagues, AAA, with 3 outfielders who's ready to come up. Now you have tradable pieces.
Okay, now which one do you keep, Sean? Do you keep Kevin Alcantara? Do you keep Owen Casey? Who do you keep?
For me
If you
personally,
screw up that decision right there,
it is tricky.
if you mess that up, if the Cubs mess that up, if they're like, hey, we're going to keep Casey and trade Alcantara, and Owen Casey comes up to the majors, it really isn't that good. He's like, okay, and Alcantara goes to a different team and is absolutely amazing and becomes like a superstar in this league, which the Cubs have done before. It's not out of the realm of possibility that they screwed that up. Because not Sean, all those guys, the farm system that we've been talking about, you know this as a baseball fan. I know this. These guys are not all going to turn fruition. They're not all going to come up here and be studs. Some of them are going to fail. You know that. Some of these guys are going to fail in the majors. So you have to be very, very, very careful about who you're trading and who you're keeping, because that is where the future of this organization lies, on the Owen Casey shoulders, the Kevin Alcantara shoulders, the Moises Ballesteros. These guys, you have to be very careful about who you keep and who you trade.
I'll say this for you. Not knowing on the surface who's going to be better, if I had to pick right now between the two, me personally, and you may feel different, but me personally, I'm keeping Kevin Alcantara over Owen Casey and dangling him out there with a James Triantos,
but
and
Sean,
maybe
Owen
one
Casey,
of these single AA pitchers that have some shine to them.
Owen Casey could be another power hitter, which the Cubs have been begging for the last 5 years.
I will say this with Owen Casey, because I've been watching, I look at the farm all the time. The thing that worries me about Owen Casey is his high strikeout percentage. He is going to hit for power. I just, and I don't, if he's a longtime Cub, I hope I'm wrong on this, but I see this as a guy. I hate to say this. God, please don't hate me for saying this. He reminds me a lot of a Patrick Wisdom. A lot of power.
Ugh.
And the ability, he may be a little bit better than Patrick Wisdom, but he strikes out at a high clip.
Yeah, but do you think he would have a 220 batting average?
I say I'm 240, 250, man. I'm right in there. I like Owen Casey. I do. I bought his gosh darn rookie cards for the love of Christ. If it was me, I like the upside of Alcantara as a 5-tool player more than I like 5 tools out of Owen Casey. That's just my opinion on if I'm trading someone in the outfield.
Sean, I agree. Could they? Is there pieces here to trade and go get a starting pitcher? Yes, absolutely. And the Cubs could probably afford to do it because, like you said, Sean, they can't. You don't have 9 positions in the outfield, right? Somebody's got to go. If they PCA's here to stay, and if they extend Kyle Tucker, he's going to be here for 10 years. So somebody has to go. Somebody's going to have to go. The problem with the Cubs is it's just such a thin margin of error. Like you guys, they have to be so careful about what they do with this farm system. They have to be so careful because guys like Jefferson Rojas, Christian Hernandez, these guys aren't coming for another 5-6 years.
I don't know about that.
So that's what I'm saying, Sean. How well? All right, let's say.
I think Rojas 2 years. I think Hernandez.
All right, but then you're going to get that Matt Shaw rookie season, right?
Yes.
So they're 3 years away. So how big is the window? That's the question. Like, is our guys like, where's Kyle Tucker going to be when Jefferson Rojas and Christian Hernandez are playing well at the major league level? Where's Kyle Tucker's career going to be at that point?
And do you think that's the way the Cubs are looking at it as well?
That's the way they should be.
Money?
That's the way they should be looking at it. That's the way I would be looking at it. Not to mention,
let me ask you this: why would Cub fans be upset if we don't re-sign him, if he's not going to be here for our championship window?
Oh, he will be here. You just don't know which Kyle Tucker.
Tucker
is he going to be 35 years old when you're competing for a championship? That's the question. So that's what I'm saying, Sean. This is what I'm saying. The Cubs need to ask themselves, where do we stand? How far away are we from a championship caliber team? How big is that window going to be for us once we make these trades? Like Sean, you said, who did you say you wanted them to trade for in the starting rotation?
I like Pablo Lopez.
How long
is getting beat up in
So how long is Pablo Lopez under contract?
I believe when I looked it up, I believe it was 2027. So you'd have him for this year, next year, and the following.
Yeah, so you'd have him for 2.5 years, right? So can you win a championship in those 2.5 years? Do you think the minor league talent's going to be up here and playing well enough to win a championship, or do you have to give him $170 million contract?
I would say this: it depends how you integrate some other players, like they did in 2016 with the younger guys, adding in a Dexter Fowler, adding in a Ben Zobrist, players that they integrated with the younger players with Chris Bryant and Addison Russell. I mean, there is a strategy they could employ that would give them a lot of success, making them comfortably. And this is like to what Trax is asking down here at the bottom. If he's batting so good in the last 5 games, why would you not move him up? Don't fix what's not broken. PCA is thriving in that spot. He's not only getting on base, he's currently setting the table back for the top half of the order, because it just keeps happening that this guy just happens to be either leading off or coming up with one out with a runner on. He's either pushing him over, taking a walk, getting a bunt, putting it in the gap, and then he's resetting the table for Ian Happ and Kyle Tucker at the beginning.
On top of that, I like the fact that Craig Counsell, I mean, I know PCA has not been hitting the fastball really well this year, guys. I understand that. But if you look at his career in totality, even in the minor leagues, he's supposed to be a really good fastball hitter. So as our Dansby Swanson, PCA. So as our Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner, right? So if you look at that lineup, that 3 lineup slot in our lineup right now, you got Swanson, Horner, and PCA. That could do some major damage to some really good major league pitchers. I like that 1-2-3 punch there. Sean, the reason I don't want to say disappointed as a Cubs fan.
Sure.
It's because
I think all Cubs fans should be disappointed, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, we are having this conversation where you're, Sean, and I love what you're saying, and that's part of the fun, right? You're like, all right, so if we bring these guys up and we add like the Zobrist and we add these guys here and it all comes together perfectly, we can win one more World Series, then break it down again and do the whole thing over again, right? Just like we did in 2016, where it's like half veterans, half young talent, but you can afford to be the Dodgers, where you could have a chance to win the World Series every single year. They have the resource. The Ricketts have the resources to be that type of team. They do. They just are telling you that here's the problem. Cubs fans who believe them is what upsets me. That's what upsets me, when Cubs fans believe the stuff that they tell you. We don't have enough money for the baseball team. Right now, we're breaking even. You are billionaires. They're billionaires. They're billionaires.
Right there, Trax. I will tell you this, though, and this is my problem. I think in 2016, obviously, 2014, 2015, 2016, our 3-year window, 2 NLCS losses to the World Championship in 2026. I'll say this. For years growing up as a Cub fan, all the way through the 80s, through the 90s, all I heard was, we got to build a farm system. We got to build a farm system. We got to build a farm system. Now, patience has run out. It's going to be 10 years next year to celebrate our anniversary of our World Championship. But the Cubs, for me, have done this right. Now, to continue to do this right, I think they do have to sign Tucker, because now you have that star. You have the farm system built up. You have the pieces that you're able to trade away in season to add when you're a contender like they are right now. And I do believe they will be throughout the entire season. I do believe they're the best team in the NL Central. And I mean, it's not like listen, it's not like they're not beating good baseball teams. They just went to Chavez Ravine. They split. They played 6 against the Padres, who are in first place in the NL West. They're 3-3 against them. It's not like they're not beating good teams. They are beating good teams.
Sean, this is a good team.
It's a very good baseball team.
Here's the problem.
Really quick, Kyle. To my point is what they've done is exactly what Cubs fans and other baseball teams have done and asked for years. Build this thing up, which they've done, and that's hence why we put PCA, the cornerstone, on the thing today, because I want to talk. They made this trade for a cornerstone piece. Now, do we believe PCA is a cornerstone is a whole nother question.
Yeah, and Sean, I'll get to that one second. But here's the problem with Cubs fans. They are not running out of patience, Sean. I don't think Cubs fans are running out of patience. You're talking about fans who have been watching this team through some pretty terrible decades for their entire lives and are still faithful and loyal to this team. It's not running out of patience. It's your billionaires who bought the Chicago Cubs, told us this would be. You've heard Jed Hoyer say this a million times, Sean. We're building this team to have sustained success. That's what we're doing. We want this team to be good and be a championship caliber team forever. Every single year, this team should have a chance to win the World Series. Here, Cubs fans are running out of patience, Sean. They're running out of money. Like, you're going to tell me you don't have any money to spend on the baseball team, and they're going to charge me $28 for a Jameson ginger ale Wrigley Field. That's insulting to your fan base. That's what it is. You want to charge me $28 for Jameson ginger ale or $400 for a ticket? Fine. But when I go to the game and spend that money, I want to watch a championship caliber team. That's all I'm asking.
But again, I just have to ask this. They're in first place in their division. They're hanging, and not only hanging, but beating the best teams in baseball.
Yes.
We understand there's some deficiencies.
So
but as we say this, they have a frontline starter, which we hope in Cade Horton. They got Amaga here. They have Kyle Tucker, which hopefully doesn't leave the building. They have a Cornerstone 5-tool, could be turning into one of the best players in baseball in PCA. You have expiring contracts. You have a young farm system, which you're going to be able to cherry pick and bring up. And you're also going to have, since you have available money, to bring in players like Ben Zobrist, bring in players like Dexter Fowler.
There's the question, though. How are they going to spend that money? That's the question. And history says no. Now,
how you doing, Mike?
Sean, this is the problem. I agree with you. I agree with everything you're saying. And this is a very good baseball team. What's disappointing to Cubs fans is you could be a championship caliber team. Like, Sean, wouldn't this team look much better with Imanaga, say Steele never got hurt, Imanaga, Steele, and Max Fried? Now you're talking about a totally different baseball team. And do they have the money to sign Max Fried? Yes, they do. Is Tom Ricketts going to tell you they have the money to sign Max Fried? No, never in a million years is he ever going to say that. But if they would have signed Max Fried and, say, 2 more bullpen guys, you're talking about a World Series baseball team right now. That's what you're talking. You're talking about a championship caliber baseball team right now, 100%. And they could have done that.
And now let me ask you this. Now, obviously, and this is huge. And we do want to say that Justin Steele sent out a wonderful text thanking everybody for his support, for their support. He appreciated the prayers. He had successful surgery. He tweeted this out on his own Twitter. As you can see, Justin Steele, he's in good spirits and headed to recovery. And this was a humongous loss for the Chicago Cubs in this rotation this season. They have to replace that. And if they can at some point, maybe bring Cade Horton up. And maybe Cade Horton becomes that bullpen piece that we're missing as long as Keller, Merriweather, Hodge continues to develop, and you have Presley. Those are 5 good bullpen guys right there. And I'm pretty sure, and I have to double check, as of the last time I looked, Keegan Thompson was leading AAA in strikeouts and still hasn't allowed an earned run. And it kind of baffles me why Luke Little got the call up before Keegan Thompson, because Keegan Thompson has looked really good in the minors so far this year.
Another questionable move by the Cubs. And Sean, if I asked you right now, I agree with you. And some of these guys are playing better than they are, right? Ray is going to it's going to even out eventually. I mean, this guy's pitching like a 1.5 ERA right now. It's not going to be like that for the rest of the season. At some point, Ray is going to become the Ray he's been his entire career, around a 3.4 ERA, which is fine. That's not a bad ERA. That's a good 5th starter in your rotation. But if you're going to the playoffs right now, Sean, who are your 3 pitchers going up against the Dodgers?
Right now, it would be Amaga and Boyd.
Yeah, Imanaga, Boyd, and probably Tyon.
And it may be a bullpen game.
Ugh.
I mean, honestly, Kyle, if you can get what you're getting out of Colin Ray, which his first couple of starts here have been pretty damn fantastic against 2 good ball clubs.
Sean, do you expect that for the rest of the season? I mean, let's be realistic as baseball fans.
I hope so, because they were talking about, and Jim Deshaies, who I respect a ton, and I love his knowledge and love when he breaks things down in baseball games. He was talking about yesterday how Colin Ray has underwent undertaking of his pitching staff, and he's changed his arm slot over the past couple of years. And this year, he's lowered it even more, and he seems to be the most effective he's been in his career. So I'm going to wait on Colin Ray because he's worked on his mechanics to see if they can hold up. But I'll tell you, He looked spectacular yesterday again. I mean, he looks
Yes, he does.
spectacular.
The problem with the Cubs is, like, instead of having Colin Ray, who you probably expected, Sean, even if he's not, I'm not saying he's going to get bad, but he's not going to have 1.5 ERA at the end of the season. It's probably going to be close. If it's 2.5, that's awesome. Great. That's great.
Sure.
But you could have taken the resources you spent on Jamison Tyon, Colin Ray, and all these other, and James and Caleb Thielbar and all these guys we keep talking about, and you could have just gone and signed a starting pitcher. You could have signed a good quality starting pitcher in baseball, a guy who's much better than, what did Jamison Tyon get? 4 years, $79 million.
Yeah, something along those
You
lines.
could have given 2 years, $79 million to an actual major league starting, a 1-2 in the rotation starting pitcher. They could have done that. They had the resources to do that. The problem is that year, first of all, the free agency class for pitchers that year that they signed Tyon was not good. Second of all, you cheaped out. You went cheap. You got Tyon because he was one of the cheapest available. Same as Dansby Swanson. And I'm not saying that was the wrong move, because the other available shortstops from that free agency class have not played well. Carlos Correa has not played well.
No, he's not. Actually, I was going to say, and because Scotty is, Dansby sucks, this and that. If you go through the numbers, Dansby Swanson's actually worked out, especially in the field, to be the best one of those big three that were signed.
Yes, he has, but that's not how the Cubs. The Cubs got Dansby Swanson because he was the cheapest of the bunch. Now, did it work out for the Cubs so far? Yes, it did. But Sean, when they signed Dansby Swanson, they didn't expect him to be better. They weren't like, we're going to sign Swanson because we think he's going to be better than Correa. And who was the other guy? Who was the other guy?
Bogarts, wasn't it?
Yeah, Alexander Bogarts. Yeah, they didn't sign Swanson because they expected him to be better than those two. They signed him because he was the cheapest, and now he just happens to be playing better than those two do. Now, at the same time, Carlos Correa any day could get back to where he was 5 years ago.
I have a feeling, though, Minnesota might be regretting that.
I think they are too.
Really quick, Cricket Commish says he feels like Tom is going to ride the one championship for the next 20 years.
That's what he's doing right now, guys. I think they're doing this thing. They're being the Tampa Bay Rays, where they're like, hey, we'll sign one good player and we'll bring the rest up from the farm system, and then maybe sign a bargain player or somebody we're missing, like his own. But you're the Cubs. You could just go get whoever you want and build a championship caliber team and add it to the farm system that you've done a really good job building. You could have added your Kyle Tucker of your pitching staff. They could have done that. They have the money to do that. You've heard other owners in baseball, the owner of the Padres, the owner of the Dodgers, the owner of the Yankees say, hey guys, we're not doing anything outside of the rules. If your team's not signing really good free agents like Max Fried, that's because they're cheap. We're not doing anything outside of the rule book here. We're doing everything we can, everything possible to win a championship. That's all we're doing. And people, that shouldn't be frowned upon. That should be the expectation. That should be the standard, especially for the fourth most valuable team in baseball. I mean, Sean, you saw the chart. The Dodgers spent the most money in the offseason. The Yankees spent the second most. I think the Red Sox were like number 6, and they're the third most valuable in franchise baseball. The Cubs were like 24th, and they're the fourth most valuable franchise in baseball. Like, you can see the deficiency, right? You see it. It doesn't take a rocket science to see it. But Sean, I do like you're right. I've always wanted them to have a farm. I want to win a World Series with homegrown talent. I don't want to buy a championship.
I agree.
So I like how in 2016 how they did it. Hey, let's go get our Zobrist. Let's go. But for the most part, those were trades, minor league trades. They acquired a bunch of minor league talent and they groomed them and developed them into becoming a championship caliber team. They drafted Chris Bryant. They traded for Anthony Rizzo. I mean, they did it the right way. But at some point, you got to go get your John Lester. You got to go get your Jake Arrieta. You got to go. These guys aren't. Listen, all respect to Ray. These guys aren't it.
Jake Arrieta was really great for the Cubs, but nobody saw that coming, including the Chicago Cubs. That was one of those. They threw a dart at the wall and it stuck. And I love Jake Arrieta for everything he did in Chicago. And don't get me wrong. This wasn't – I'm going to go out on a limb and say this was not the genius of the Chicago Cubs. This was a guy who worked his tail off, found some magic, and made it work for a few years. When the Cubs made that trade, they did not see this guy being one of the most dominant pitchers over a 2-year stretch in baseball history. I guarantee that. But nonetheless –
and they went and got their Cole Hamill and their John Lackey. But you like Jamison Tyon, it's time for the Cubs to act like they're the Cubs. Act like you are the Chicago Cubs. Be the Chicago Cubs. Be the team that every other team in baseball besides the Dodgers and the Yankees fear. Like they're like, oh man, don't want to play the Dodgers with all that money they got. Don't want to play the Yankees with all the money they got. Don't want to play the Cubs with all that money they got. Be them. Be that team. be the team you are capable of being and you have the resources to become.
Really quick, because we are running up against it with the Cubs game coming on. So, and I want to get into this Matt Shaw thing really quick because I think we touched on PCA. I think we all feel like he can be the cornerstone.
Well, Sean, can we talk about PCA for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
PCA, to me, I know most people will say PCA is riding the line between a great player and like a good player and a star. I could make an argument that PCA is riding the line between a star and a superstar.
I don't
Sean,
have any argument with that.
Sean, if this guy can stay at a 270 average for the rest of his career, he's a superstar. He is absolutely a superstar.
For our Cody Bellinger lovers that all wanted him, and this is a little outdated because he's hitting a little bit better than that. PCA is, anyways. These are for our guys over here. I forgot to make a graphic for PCA. I can't believe I did that today. PCA right now, ever since rejecting that $75 million contract, he's hitting 444, 8 of 18, 3 doubles, 1 triple, 2 home runs, and a 1.5 OPS. Now, I don't want to say updated since the Tokyo series, 282. It's dipped a little bit since I did this research. 6 doubles, 1 triple, 2 home runs. That's actually 3 home runs. So in his last 5 games, 9 hits, 3 doubles, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. He's on fire right now. And the thing that I love to see about him, and the other day, they were trying to pitch him outside. What did he do? He stepped into the ball and drove it opposite field.
Yeah.
Guys, that is a sign of a player who is starting to understand how to hit the baseball at a level.
Sean, you add power. If he consistently hits for power to that speed, to being the best base runner in all of baseball, and if you add power to that and he hits that consistently, home runs, doubles, triples, and remember, guys, this is a guy that hits a single and can turn it into a double at any given moment. I mean, he's the fastest guy in baseball right now. If you add power, if he keeps hitting for power, Sean, he is one of the best players in baseball. The Cubs have 2 superstars.
I think he's going to get there.
I think so too. I think PCA is better than a lot of people are giving him credit for. And remember, this guy was like the top 10 in prospects in all of baseball for 3 years. And I think he might be better than that. I think he should have been talked about like Jackson Holliday's been talked about for the last 3 years. I think this guy is special.
And as we're going to flip the page here, as we round home on the show, we're going to talk about Matt Shaw, guys. So remember what we're saying right now, because last year, after 20 at-bats, Twitter was ridiculous. This guy sucks. Fire him. Send him down. He should never be on this club. Guys, it's a waiting game. It's a patience game with these guys that develop. Hitting a baseball is one of the hardest things to do, if not the hardest thing to do in all of sports. Your hand-eye coordination has to be impeccable. I think it's 0.3 of a second from the time it leaves the pitcher's hand till it gets to home plate. It is so fast. You have to make a decision. Am I swinging?
And the discipline. The discipline alone of taking bad pitches, not swinging at bad pitches. I mean, that's very, you played baseball when you were a kid. You want to swing at everything. Yeah. Everything that comes across the plate, you want to swing at. These guys, it takes a long time to perfect the art of playing baseball. It's a very strange game. These guys are in the minors for 5 years before they come up and start. Listen, anybody who's given up on Matt Shaw, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. Matt Shaw is going to be a very, very good player in baseball. As a matter of fact, Sean,
hold on, Kyle.
I think he looked good.
I just want to touch on this, Kamish. I think PCA is betting on himself.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't like that he turned it down because it's going to cost us. They tried to get him in on the cheap dial, but this kid's going to sign for a lot of freaking money if he continues to go on this, and he bet on himself. So hey, man, tip your cap to him because he said, you know what, you want to give me $75 million? I feel like I'm going to be worth $300 million.
I think he's worth double 75. I think he's worth 140, at least 140 million.
If he keeps doing what he's doing now, though, Kyle, he's going to be a $400 million player.
Yeah. If I were the Cubs, I would offer that $75 million last year, not this year. I would offer that last year because now, if PCA keeps doing what he's doing and Kyle Tucker keeps doing what he's doing, you got $800 million worth of baseball players in your outfield. That's not good. It's not good for the Cubs.
And you haven't addressed re-signing anybody else like a Michael Busch or
Well, Michael Bush, he's here for a long time, isn't he?
I'm not sure how long his contract
I'm
is.
pretty sure
But
Michael Bush is under contract for quite a while. But
hey, Bruce, do us a favor. Look up how long Michael Bush's contract is with the Cubs, could you, bud? And really quick, yeah. As we round home, and Kyle just touched on Matt Shaw. Sorry, I can't even think of his freaking name while I'm sitting here. Yeah, Kyle, I agree. I think, to start, the Cubs did send down Matt Shaw. He was hitting 172, bottom 2% in exit velo. He did show decent command of the strike zone with 180 strikeout to walk ratio. I'm not too happy it leaves the Cubs to the hot corner. You saw Gage Workman commit that error yesterday. But the one thing that I do like about this is, he gets to marinate in AAA. He gets more reps. He's going to be able to kind of recalibrate his swing, recalibrate himself, refine some things that he's doing wrong, and have that opportunity to come back up here midseason. And as we all want, we want Matt Shaw to be 100% ready to lead this team, because we do see this guy as a top prospect in this organization. And I want you to touch on this, Kyle, because really quick, I just want to let you guys know, top guys that have been sent down after their first cup of coffee in the Cubs organization alone. The guy we just touched on, Pete Crow Armstrong, Nico Horner, Ian Happ, Kyle Schwarber, Anthony Rizzo, Kyle Tucker, and I'll give you a true story about Matt Olson. He was promoted and demoted 5 times during the 2020-17 season. This guy turned into a 2-time All-Star, 2-time Golden Glove Award winner, a Silver Slugger Award winner. Kyle Tucker's numbers, when he was sent down, he was hitting 141. He was hitting 141. Shaw was hitting 172. His OPS was 203. Shaw's was 241. And 72 plate appearances for Tucker and 68 for Shaw. So I'm going to preach patience, just like I did last year with Miguel Amaya, just like I did last year with PCA. I'm going to say, please, everybody, just remain calm, relax, take a deep breath. This kid's going to come back. He's hit and performed on every level. Go back and look at what he did for Team USA Baseball this past fall. He absolutely was the best player on that team. Give this kid time. Let him marinate.
Well, Sean, when it comes to these guys like Matt Shaw, it's not about his numbers. It's about the progress, the development, the growth. That's what you're looking at. You're not looking at Matt Shaw going, man, I expect him to hit 300 with 45 bombs. That's absolutely ridiculous. What your expectation should be is, can he get better every day? It looked like he was getting better at third base. It looked like his plate discipline was getting better. He was seeing pitchers better. It looked like he was starting to get comfortable. Now, am I mad that the Cubs sent him down? No. I mean, this happens, like you said, Sean. This is normal. This is what happens in baseball. Hey, go build up your confidence a little bit. Go beat up on some AAA pitchers. We'll bring you back up in a couple months. I'm fine with that. We expected that to happen at some point this season. The problem with the Cubs is, I don't think they really did a good job of setting themselves up at third base. Now you have this massive hole at third base. I don't think Gage Workman is it. I don't think Justin Turner at 40 years old is it. I mean, it's another thing we've been talking about for the last 3 years. Third base. The Cubs should have had a better backup plan. Now, does that mean that
I agree.
Ultimately, Matt Shaw is going to be at their third baseman, and I think he's going to be a very good player. But they should have set themselves up for exactly this situation right here. We know Matt Shaw is going to struggle. We know we're going to have to send him down at some point. Let's go get an actual third baseman on this team for when that happens. And they didn't do that. That's no disrespect to Gage Workman, but he's not it.
I'll tell you, Gage Workman really pissed me off yesterday. And that's kind of what I was talking about when you start talking about some unfortunate luck for Porter Hodge. Porter Hodge, he makes that play. There's 3 earned runs off of Porter Hodge's earned run average right now. So I just want everyone to maintain some time here with Porter Hodge as well. And remember, this is not a finished product. And I'm looking here. It does look like the Cubs are going to have to re-up. They're going to have to re-up Michael Bush here, dude.
Ugh. This is going to be the most expensive offseason in Cubs history. Bruce, do us a favor, man. How long is PCA's contract?
I can't even get on Sports Track. It's blocking me for some reason.
But Sean, that's you're losing a huge important chunk of your team this offseason. I mean, you're losing Horner, Happ, Tucker, and Bush if you don't sign these guys. You're talking about rebuilding the whole team in one offseason.
Hold on, I'm looking at Michael Bush right now. Give me 1 second to find him in here. Why can't I find Michael Bush? I see every other player on the Cubs except for Michael Bush. What the hell, dude?
How long is PCA's contract? You got him in front of you?
He's not on here either. What the hell kind of list is this? Oh, here it is. PCA is here till 27.
Yeah. I think Michael Bush is here. I think that's just his base salary for this season. I think he is
Michael
here.
Bush is also here till 27.
Yeah, I was going to say. So it's not Bruce's fault. The way they do these.
No, it's different. He
Yeah.
did sign an arbitration deal. He was absolutely correct.
But the way they do these contracts in baseball is very strange. It's the same thing we've been talking about Justin Steele. Like Justin Steele technically is under contract to 2028, but all comes down to arbitration. All comes down to arbitration. At the end of the day, if baseball believes that he's owed his arbitration, then they lose the last year of the contract, don't they?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's
I'd
like
have to look into baseball contracts.
It's the reason they wouldn't bring Chris Bryant up until after like that. What was it, September 9th date? That first season that Chris Bryant was. They were talking about bringing him up.
They had
because
because
they would have lost the last year of his contract if they brought him up before that September 9th date. The way that baseball does their contracts is so strange. But we'll dig into the numbers and we can talk more about it next week. We'll talk about exactly how these contracts work. But yeah, Sean, I mean, for me personally, Matt Shaw, PCA, Miguel Amaya, Michael Bush. I mean, this is the future of the franchise. You better start getting some of these guys locked up because if history repeats itself, the Cubs aren't going to pay anybody.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, if you lose this core, if the Cubs lose this core and no one's re-signed, I'll tell you this, man, I will not be a happy individual, and my Cubs card might be getting stamped as gone. I won't be able to handle making these good moves and not keeping these homegrown talents and then turning around and telling me that, hey, we don't have any money to do this. We don't have any money to do that. That would be really unfortunate because you do have a great base here, especially from the lineup side of things. You obviously, which 2 years ago wasn't a deficiency. The Cubs acquired some of these guys because their bullpen was so strong, but I still think they're trying to recover. Or they're trying to repeat that same success. Like we picked up this Brad Keller, we picked up this Caleb Thielbar, we picked up this Nate Pearson. They're going to come here and they're going to turn things around here on the north side.
To me,
it is arrogance. And
they think everybody's David Robertson. That's just not how the baseball works, guys. Some guys who have struggled their entire careers are just not good players. Caleb or Thielbar is just not a good pitcher. For me personally, that guy shouldn't be on a major league roster. For me personally.
Really quick, Kate Horton, we're going to take a trip to the farm. We got about 17 minutes. We're going to wrap this thing up so everyone can sit down and enjoy the Cubs game. Horton didn't have his best stuff this week. His final stat line, 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. He continues. He threw 76 pitches, 48 were strikes. He had 5 swings and misses in this outing. One of my favorite Cubs prospects, Moses Ballesteros, Mo Baller, 4 for 5. This week, he was a player of the game 2 times this week and also named player of the week this past week. He had a 4 for 5 day, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, 5 runs scored. He followed that up with a 3 for 3 day. He was a triple shy of the cycle through 4 innings to follow up that 4 for 5 day. Guys, this guy right now, Ballesteros, is looking comfortable at the plate. He's slashing 367, 433, 576. He's got 4 doubles, 2 home runs in his first 15 games of the season for the Iowa Cubs. He's got a 1,000 OPS through his first 60 at-bats in the 2025 season. Those are all familiar numbers for Ballesteros last year. I'm going to let you comment on all this, Kyle. I just want to blow through this really, really quick. Jackson Wiggins also had another solid performance this week. 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, 75 pitches. Of those 75 pitches, 51 were strikes. The thing I take away from Jackson Wiggins, if you start watching him, he is in single A, high A ball, Myrtle Beach for the Cubs, but they are stretching him out every outing through his first 3 outings. He's thrown more pitches, which is a good sign. I will expect to see him personally in South Bend pretty soon. I did want to get into Moses Ballesteros a lot. Really quick, a couple of things on Moses, and then I'm going to let you take it away, Kyle, before we wrap it up. The 21-year-old backstop has risen in the minor leagues. He's quickly becoming possibly the Cubs' top prospect in the organization. As we just stated, he made a big change this season. He has changed his complete diet. He was an avid eater of fast food, McDonald's, Wendy's, and KFC. He's given up all of that along with pop. He's dropped 20 pounds this offseason in hopes that it would work with his glove work. His minor league coach said he's starting to develop positive work behind the plate to go along with that. Ballesteros has we need a little bit bigger sample size, but they did say he's receiving high marks on blocking balls, especially on the glove side. It seems as though Ballesteros is putting it all together. This guy could be the guy that flips the table. It could be Amaya and Ballesteros. Maybe you keep Carson Kelly and Amaya becomes a trade chip. I don't really know, but that's the trip on the farm. Kyle,
maybe Moises Ballesteros replaces Seiya Suzuki as DH, because Seiya Suzuki, like we said, is 2 years on his contract, left on his contract. I do not believe the Cubs are going to re-up Suzuki. He's not a great base runner. He has no position in the field. For me, I would replace Suzuki with Ballesteros, and I would make Ballesteros do a little bit of everything, right? If you want him to catch one day, you can catch. If you want to play DH one day, you can play DH. I mean, you want these guys to have as much value as possible. So this guy, you want a guy who's versatile and can play multiple positions or do multiple things. Seiya Suzuki's just not that. Seiya Suzuki's a good hitter. He's a good hitter. He's a consistent hitter. He's just not. He doesn't offer much else. And it's no disrespect to Suzuki. I like the guy. I like what he's done for the Cubs. He's having a good season to start the season here. But at the end of the day, if you feel like Moises Ballesteros cannot be an everyday catcher in the major leagues, he would be one of the best DHs in baseball if he continues to hit the way he's been hitting in the minor leagues, for sure.
I agree. I love Moses Ballesteros. I've been on him now for 3 years. I have about 40 of his rookie cards. I love this guy. Him and Jefferson Rojas are my favorite 2 prospects. Kevin Alcantara and Christian Hernandez and Cade Horton are closely behind them. But those are my Ballesteros. I love this kid, and I love me some Jefferson Rojas. Hopefully we'll see him. We got about 15 minutes left, a little bit less than that. Kyle, last week we said we would come back to the show. We thought the Cubs would be, I think we both said 2-4. They finished 1 game over 500 in that time, I believe. They beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3. 3 out of 3. Yeah, they finished 4-3 in the 7 games. So this week we have another tough week coming up. The Cubs this afternoon here in about 15 minutes or so or less will be taking the bump. It'll be Ben Brown versus Zach Gallen. The Cubs faced Gallen on 327. He went 4 innings, gave up 4 hits, 4 earned runs, and the Cubs chased him from the ball game. Ben Brown, obviously, as we all know, was fantastic against the Dodgers in that 16-0 walloping of LA in Chavez Ravine. We wrap up with Kelly versus Tyon. Then the wonderful Los Angeles Dodgers come back to town, and we have Shota versus Dustin May. Dustin May is off to a fantastic start. This should be a pitcher's duel. I talked about this. Dustin May is got a 1.20 earned run average, a 0.89 whip. Shota 2.22 earned run average, and I believe he was a 0.99 whip. Should be a fantastic ball game Tuesday evening. Wednesday evening, you have Boyd versus Sawyer, and this is going to be interesting because Boyd will face the Dodgers 2 times in a week. This is going to be a huge test for Matthew Boyd to see how he can pitch to this lineup in such a short period of time. And then we wrap this up By the time you guys see us again, we'll be playing the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Cubs will have Colin Ray versus Tyjon Walker, Brown versus Luzardo, and Tyon versus Aaron Nola, and that's Jesus Luzardo. Kyle, tough week. Where do you see the Cubs when we return next week? 2 against the Diamondbacks, 2 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Philadelphia Phillies.
I mean, Sean, I'd be happy if they split the next 2 games with the Diamondbacks and end up winning this series. I'd be happy if they split with the Dodgers because, I mean, I still believe the Dodgers are the best team in baseball, and there's no shame in losing to that team. And then when it comes to this Phillies team, Sean, I'd have to do some more research, but I know that a lot of these pitchers for the Phillies have had some rough starts this season. Hopefully that continues for the Cubs. If it does, I think they could take 2 out of 3 from the Phillies as well. But it depends on how Nola is pitching when we see him, how Walker's pitching when we see him, how Luzardo's pitching. It all depends. But right now, I think if the Cubs continue to do what they're doing, I mean, we keep saying, "Oh man, they're going to play the Dodgers. Oh man, they have to play the Padres," but they keep beating these teams. So
I know, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, if they continue to play the way that they're playing, I expect them to come out of this week with yet again another winning record. I'd be happy if they're how many games is that?
4-3, 7 games.
Yeah, 7 games. So at 4-3, I'd be ecstatic.
4-3
that's great for the Cubs.
And I was going to say, if you count yesterday's game, you're 5-3.
That would be huge.
Out of this 8-game homestand. I mean, it's an 8-game homestand.
Sean, what scares me is watch them come out of this April month we've been talking about for all the beginning of the season here, and be like, oh man, this is such a tough schedule. This is such a tough schedule. Watch them coming out of this 8 games out of 500, and then start losing to tomato cans. Wouldn't that be Chicago sports?
That would really suck, because next month's going to be really, really, really easy for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, we say that. Now watch, all these teams that are really, really easy are going to come in and play their best of the season when they play the Cubs. That's just always how it seems to go for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, I believe we're getting into we'll be getting into our first division games next month as well, which should be interesting in itself. I know we have some important days against our crosstown rivals coming up, the Chicago White Sox. We have the Giants, the Marlins, the White Sox, the Rockies. I mean, these are some really bad teams. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, the Cubs, the Cubs should come out of May and be one of the, if not the best team in baseball, should be top 2.
They should definitely. I believe we go to Milwaukee. That was just a road schedule. We do go to Milwaukee this month. I believe we're in Pittsburgh as well. But again, if you look at Pittsburgh and you take away Paul Skeens, Jared Jones is out, and I think he's going to be out for a significant time. They have 6 wins, unless they won yesterday. I did not look. They had 6 wins going into yesterday. The Pirates are not a very good baseball team, but the Reds are doing exactly what I thought they would do. They're mashing the baseball and winning with their sticks. But Hunter Green is having a phenomenal season. He's early Cy Young talk is how well he's starting his season. He's living up to that potential.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, Dustin May,
Dustin May is a stud right now.
That's not a good start. That's a historic start. I mean, if he continues to do that all season, there's your Cy Young right there. What'd you say his numbers? What'd you say his numbers are?
He's got a 102 earned run average and a .89 whip in 3 starts against, I believe it was the Phillies. Oh shit!
The Rockies. It was the Phillies, the Rockies,
and somebody else. It wasn't the Cubs, thank God.
Was it the Reds?
Let's see. That's Tuesday. We're gonna be at darts, man. That might be a really fast ball game. Let's see. Dustin May.
Right now he is the Cy Young. I mean, that's a 102 ERA.
Yeah, Dustin May. 106. Sorry, 106 earned run average, a .76 whip, 17 innings pitched, 14 strikeouts, and 6 walks. And those games were against Colorado, Washington, and Atlanta. So, and he's went 6 innings in every start except Atlanta. He went 5 innings in that game. He gave up 1 hit. That was the first start of the year, so you understand why he only went 5 innings. They don't push these pitchers that early in the season. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting month. You know, this is going to be the tail end of it here. The Cubs are going to come out of these supremely good World Series, top playoff caliber teams after this 8-game home stretch. So it'd be nice to finish 5-3, because if they finish 5-3, what are they? They'd be 5 games over 500, if I'm not mistaken. What are they? They're 13-9. So
it'd be more than 5 games.
They'd be 7 games over 500.
Yeah.
So 7 games over 500. Sorry, I'm doing quick math with no. I don't even know if their record. They do have 13 wins, don't they?
Yeah.
So they have 13 wins. So yeah, I mean, if they come out of this month and they're 6 games over 500, staring down the Marlins, they got to beat the Brewers. You got to win in your division. The Reds, the Rockies,
The White Sox.
The White Sox. I mean, these are again teams we should beat with no problem. And the Cubs should continue to have some great
Yeah,
success.
I mean, obviously they're not going to sweep the month of May, but I mean, they should come out of the month of May another 10 games over 500. So yeah, you expect this team coming up towards the All-Star break, obviously, which is a long ways away to go here, guys. But this team should be one of the top 5 teams in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, if you look at it, the best teams in baseball reside in the NL West. The Cubs don't have to play the NL West until hopefully October baseball. So you pretty much just cleared your slate, not having to worry about the Dodgers, the Padres. And I'm so happy because the Padres are so gosh darn dangerous, man. That team is – I don't know how they were so underrated to start the season. Like, people had them in 3rd place behind the Diamondbacks. Guys, I think they're going to push – I think they're personally going to push the Dodgers for this division. I think they're going to be close to a 100-year team, although Jackson Merrill just did get hurt. And it's a hamstring injury, and I think they put him on a 15-day. So that kind of sucks. That's a big hole in their lineup. But
well, Sean, and you know how baseball works. Like right now, the Dodgers, I think as a team, I think I read something 240 or something like that. That's going to go up. The Dodgers are going to become the Dodgers. They are the deepest team in baseball. Ohtani's going to start pitching for this team soon. That's scary. That's absolutely frightening. By the end of the year, the Dodgers are going to be the best.
They're still going to get Kershaw and who's the other frontline closer that's hurt for them right now?
Well, Blake Snell's not playing right now.
Blake Snell, that's who it is. Blake
He's not
Snell's
playing
hurt.
right now. I mean, that rotation is deadly.
Can you imagine on your DL having Shohei Ohtani, freaking what's his name, Blake Snell and Clayton Kershaw? Like,
yeah, and you still have one of the best rotations in baseball. I mean, we just talked about May. You have Yamamoto. Sasaki's going to get more and more comfortable as the season goes on. I mean, Glass now. We haven't even said Glass now yet. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know how the Dodgers don't win 120 games, because if you look at the team on paper, it's the best baseball team I've ever seen, at least in my lifetime. I'm sure there are better teams in the past, but in my lifetime, this is the best team I can remember.
It is.
Yeah. By the way, your lineup has Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, Smith. I mean,
can I say
scary?
Can I say they're the best team I've seen since the 2016 Chicago Cubs?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, before we get out of here, guys, we totally forgot all show. We got swept away, but don't forget this Thursday, 102 North River Street Tavern. We're going to be doing our thing, celebrating the Chicago Bears draft. We're going to have the 50-50 raffle draft, the 50-50 raffle tickets. Not only you get to split the pot, we have wonderful prizes just brought to the fray. Brand new Lance Briggs. We got Charles Tillman here, sitting here. We got DJ Moore sitting here. We're all framed up. We got 2 of these bad boys for you guys. We got Danny Hampton still hanging out. We haven't even got to the autographed helmets, the Cubs tickets. It's gonna be a phenomenal time. We packed this thing for you guys, our loyal listeners. We love you guys so much. We wanted to make sure that we got enough stuff. And I don't know, we love you so much. We don't even know if we got enough stuff for you guys, but we're definitely going to try and make it a special night for you guys. We're going to get in the crowd. We're going to get you guys on the show. We're going to make you the stars of the show this Thursday. So don't forget 102 North River Street Tavern, $3 tall boys, half off chicken bites. The chicken bites are phenomenal. I eat them all the time. We hope to see you all there. Let's go Cubs. The first pitch in 2 minutes. The Cubbies, and who do we got on the bump today? It's Gallen versus Ben Brown. Ben Brown. So hopefully the bats stay hot. We can chase Gallen out of another ball game, because this rotation on the Diamondbacks is pretty damn sick too. Merrill Kelly tomorrow. It doesn't get any freaking easier.
Yeah.
So, hey, until next week, thanks to everybody in the chat. Tracks, Breaking News, Bruce, Cookie Commish, Scott Angel,
Bears
Mike
fan for
B,
life.
Bears fan for life. Thank all you guys. I know we'll see some of you guys this Thursday. We'll talk to you guys on Monday for the bare minimum, or excuse me, for the Hallis Hall hangover, where we're going to give you our final ticks before the draft. But until then, cub up everybody and bear down.
Bear down, guys. Cub up.